Good evening. I'm Dr. Shachi Srivastav. I'm from ASI Medical College, Faridabad, and I'm thankful to AIS for giving me this opportunity to speak on this topic. My topic is role of OCT angiography in monitoring the progression of non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy. Currently, we're also doing a thesis on this topic, and we have discovered some things which we'd like to share. So first, we'll go on a general discussion. I think we have already know that diabetic retinopathy is currently the leading cause of vision
Let's
loss.
Sachi skip this. ये OCT ये एंजियो डायबिटीज़ क्या है उसको छोड़ देते हैं. Let's come to ऑक्टा सीधा. यहाँ FA and ICG.
So basically, ma'am has already told you the principle of
Yeah.
OCTA, how it is relevant in cases of diabetic retinopathy that we need to know. We need to know the importance of the superficial and deep capillary plexus and the algorithm which is used to detect the motion of erythrocytes in the capillaries, which helps us in estimating these plexuses. So basically, OCTA detects the vascular changes at the level of 3 capillary plexus: superficial, which is within the ganglion cell layer; intermediate, between the inner plexiform and inner nuclear layers; and deep, which is between the inner nuclear and the outer plexiform layers. So it can automatically quantify the size of areas with and without perfusion, that is the flow and non-flow areas, and FAZ, and the capillary density, which is VD. So VD actually represents the proportion of the surface area of blood vessels relative to the total measured area based on binary images to determine the perfusion of retinal microvasculature, which is very important in cases of diabetes. So previous studies have shown that OCTA is able to delineate retinal capillary non-perfusion with higher resolution than the conventional FA. In early detection, it can detect changes at the earliest stages of NPDR, even before the visual symptoms or signs appear on standard fundus examination. It offers detailed images of retinal capillary network and allows the visualization of microaneurysms, dilated capillaries, dropouts, and the Torch's vessels, which give an idea of the disease progression. It provides quantitative metrics such as vessel density, FAZ. They act as objective indicators of disease severity and progression. It can effectively measure the area of retinal hyperperfusion or ischemia, a critical factor in the development and progression of NPDR. It helps in predicting the risk. Quantitative findings can help in predicting the risk of NPDR worsening or development of complications like diabetic macular edema. Its applications also include measuring ischemia, detecting neovascularization at the earliest, and timely treatment. So into OCTA's ability to segment the various layers of retina, it can easily detect the neovascularization from the earmarks, which may not be always possible on FA or clinical examination. So this is one advantage. It also helps in differentiating NPDR from PDR and helps us in following. Various quantitative measures which have been described are the area filled by binarized vessels, vessel density, vessel spacing or the intercapillary area, length of the blood vessels based on the skeletonized OCTA, which is the vascular length density, vascular diameter index, total length of the vessels, vascular architecture and branching, and area of the FAZ. So these are basic quantitative factors which are important in determining the progression. So vessel density, as I've already said, is the proportion of blood vessel area over the total measured area. It decreases both in deep capillary plexus and superficial capillary plexus of a patient with DR, as well as diabetic patient without DR, attributing to fact that parafoveal capillary non-perfusion in DCP may potentially be an early sign of DR. Vessel density in DCP may predict DR severity and identify patients at risk, as it is able to detect retinal vascular changes in diabetic patients without any signs of DR. So this is very important. We can detect NPDR even when there are no clinical signs. Intercapillary spacing can be detected by areas that are not perfused, and they occur much earlier than the VD changes. And the extrafoveal avascular area may help to distinguish early NPDR from the healthy eyes. As capillary non-perfusion area enlarges with progression in severity of NPDR, the quantitative analysis of retinal non-perfusion on OCTA may be useful for early detection and monitoring of disease in patients with diabetes and NPDR. Vessel tortuosity is also a quantitative factor from fundus images via computer-assisted software. It is an integral of the curvature square along the path of the vessel. Basically, this is a parameter, and patients with diabetes, they have increased vessel tortuosity as compared to healthy controls, and they're related to mild and moderate stages of DR, suggesting that vascular tortuosity may be an early indicator of microvascular damage in the retina. So these are very important parameters which help us detect NPDR and also help in detecting the progression of the NPR, because these parameters increase with the severity of NPDR. It may also be used to distinguish moderate to severe NPDR from PDR, particularly in the superficial capillary plexus region. FAZ area and acircularity correlate with the vascular tortuosity in this zone of superficial capillary plexus. As this parameter increases with worsening of NPDR and it decreases in PDR, it may serve as a quantitative marker to monitor the progression of diabetic retinopathy. Diabetic macular ischemia is characterized by occlusion and loss of macular capillary network or capillary dropout, and non-perfused areas in DCP and reduced VD. They reflect the macular photoreceptor disruption in diabetic macular ischemia. So we can all detect diabetic macular ischemia at the earliest also by OCTA. In the area of disrupted ellipsoid zone of photoreceptor, choroidal circulation layer had a greater area of flow void, and hence alteration of choroidal circulation appears to also play a role in the pathogenesis of NPDR and DMI. Wide field OCTA images have shown that large arterioles situated in superficial and deep layers seem to be the perfusion boundaries, which may serve as a novel anatomic factor to predict the likelihood of non-perfusion development. To summarize, OCTA plays a growing and significant role in monitoring the progression of NPDR by providing detailed, non-invasive imaging of the retinal microvasculature, helps in early detection of the microvascular changes, helps in identifying the subclinical signs of progression before they are visible ophthalmoscopically. They help in monitoring the disease progression. Repeated OCTA scans, they allow tracking of FAZ enlargement, decreased vessel density in the superficial and deep capillary plexus, and worsening the capillary non-perfusion. These parameters, they correlate with NPDR severity and risk of progression to proliferative diabetic retinopathy. It helps in evaluation of macular ischemia, which is very important in predicting the visual prognosis of a patient. It differentiates ischemic from non-ischemic diabetic maculopathy and guides the treatment decisions. And it is a non-invasive and a repeatable test. So this is FAZ in a healthy eye. And this is FAZ in NPDR, which is evident by enlargement. And this is the capillary density in the superficial capillary plexus. I'm just showing you the images. So there was some problem in the machine, in our OCT machine, so I couldn't get the original images, so I'm just... So basically, this is just a representation through images how the FAZ, the superficial capillary plexus, is affected in patients with diabetic retinopathy, and it gradually progresses. What are the limitations which we cannot forget? It cannot detect vascular leakage, which is a key marker of disease activity and is clearly visualized with FFA.
Sachi, I think limitation she has covered quite a bit.
Thank you.
So we'll have a brief discussion on OCTA. You can please. So we'll start with some panel and maybe some audience also can react.
Anybody from the audience has a question or you have any doubts which you would like to clarify about OCTA?
I'll just begin this by saying, do you today do OCTA in all NPDR patients? I for one do not do it, isliye I am saying, because I do not take any patient to that OCTA machine if it is NPDR just for the sake of picking early or just to predicting risk, like you are saying, progression. But I know OCTA is an upcoming tool, and it all depends on how much time you have. Exactly. You see, if you have few patients or research element, then I think it does help to quantify all those void areas and these areas. But from practical clinician point of view, in NPDR for study, DCP layer is the most beneficial in diabetic retinopathy.
Yes, sir.
But in NPDR, Ajay, do you take all patients to OCTA?
So if we have evidence of any evidence which suggests you have diabetic macular edema, we do an OCT.
Yeah.
So that's a must that any patient...
No, we are talking of only NPDR. We are not talking of maculopathy
So
at all.
NPDR with a diabetic macular edema, I'll do an OCT. NPDR without diabetic macular edema, I will, if I can explain drop in vision, I I will definitely not do an OCT, but if it is required as a standard, most patients we do an OCT. And in case we find that we cannot explain the drop in vision, we do also do an Octa in these
Ajay,
cases.
Kapoor,
Sir, actually with Okta, you really need to spend time with the
Yeah,
machine.
yeah,
You need to talk to the machine. And again, in a very busy clinical OPD, like you
Neha,
have 50,
no, but
70
I wanted
patients.
this answer only. Yeah.
Very
So for
difficult.
NPDR, we do not
Yeah.
routinely do Octa.
So what patients, both you, Neha and Sachi, you take the patient to Octa as a routine?
So
So
for
currently, as I told you, we are doing a research on this topic.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
obviously, we are doing Octa. But I think it's very beneficial in cases of severe NPDR because it can identify any subtle NVE, and also in those patients who have diabetic nephropathy, where we cannot do FFA. I think it's always better to go for an Octa.
Okay, that point I would agree
Yeah,
that
in
in
nephropathy,
such patients,
definitely it has a.
where there is
you know,
contraindication.
Ajay Arora, two Ajay, so I have to say, Ajay Arora did point out that wherever you can't explain the vision loss, then it's worthwhile taking, that will take few seconds only, ischemia is there or not. That will definitely tell.
And other situations is if you've done an angiography in a case of, so a patient walks in first to my clinic and there's significant amount of non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy, and this patient we would probably subject him to a wide field angiography. In case I find a vessel of IRMA, then OCT angiography differentiates between IRMA and neovascularization very well.
Correct.
And
Yes,
that
sir.
point I think you must point out, because I was going to hear that point that is very classical, that how do you differentiate an NVE from an IRMA and an Octa? I think that is one important point which should go back to the audience, and that is where segmentation comes in. So if you, would you like to point that out or want me to speak
So I
on?
would like you to explain.
You can explain.
So basically when you look at IRMA, any NVE will breach the ILM, while an IRMA will not breach the ILM.
Because
So
that's a
therefore, if I do an
intraretinal.
Octa at the level of the ILM and I move my cursor and I move the whole thing above, then I can see where the breach is occurring. Remember, one movement of the cursor is 10 microns. One single movement of the cursor is 10 microns. So if I move the cursor twice, I have moved 20 microns. So by that I can gauge how much above or below I have moved every time. Sometimes the segmentation is not done by the machine correctly, so you have to manually segment. And this is more common in AMD patients, where you have to, segment and get the levels right, and
In fact,
then you
most
can
of time we
sequentially
end up
follow.
doing manually only. That's the best way to study. So I think thanks both to Neha and Sachi for having some discussion on Octa. But believe me, it's an expensive tool. Gradually, a lot of us are depending on Octa, but it still has not replaced FA. FA is not dead. FA still people are doing, but Octa is giving a lot of information because of this RBC movement and all. I think